Ravi sat alone in the control room of Listening Post 9. The small station floated silently near the edge of human space, far from planets, people, or noise. His job was simple: listen to deep space, signals, pulses, static. It wasn't exciting, but it mattered. At least, that's what the training manual said. He sipped warm tea from a metal cup. The only sound was the soft hum of machines and the gentle tick-tick of the signal monitor. Days here felt like weeks. No one visited. No one called. Ravi had learned to enjoy the quiet. He liked watching stars drift slowly across the large window. It made him feel small, but also peaceful. Then, on the 181st day of his rotation, something strange happened. A new signal appeared. It didn't look like anything he had seen before. It was soft, almost hidden, a pattern, like a heartbeat. His screen flashed once, then again. Ping, ping, ping. Ravi leaned forward. His hands moved quickly, adjusting dials. He narrowed the scan range and cleared the noise. The signal became clearer. It wasn't a ship's beacon. It wasn't a comet passing through. It was a voice. He hit record. At first, it was only whispers, broken sounds like wind through an old pipe. Then, a tone, high, light, almost like singing. Ravi blinked. Was someone crying? He played the message again, filtering it through the translator. The machine tried its best, turning alien noise into human words. Most of it didn't make sense, just soft syllables and pauses. But then a phrase appeared, for words, clear, sad, real. Please, don't die. Ravi stared at the screen. Who said that? He whispered. No one answered. He downloaded the signal and sent it to Earth Command. He marked it urgent. Then he waited. 3 hours passed. A reply came. It was short. Signal likely interference. No action required. Resume monitoring. Ravi frowned. That couldn't be right. He had listened to static for 6 months. This wasn't static. This was a voice. A real one. He played the message again. Please, don't die. It sounded tired, like someone who had waited a long, long time to be heard. He couldn't forget it. The next day, he scanned the same range. The signal was still there, but weaker. Now slower, as if whatever was sending it was fading. Ravi didn't know what to do. He was just a technician. He wasn't a captain or a scientist. But something in his chest told him this mattered. He opened a private log and began to write. Day 182. A voice spoke, a real one. I don't think it's human, it said. Please, don't die. I don't know who it is. I don't know what they want, but I believe them. I think. They're scared. By the third day, the signal stopped. The room felt colder. Ravi walked through the narrow halls of the station, restless. He didn't eat much. He kept checking the monitor, hoping for one more whisper. But the screen stayed quiet. He looked out the window at the stars. They didn't flicker. They just waited. That night, he had a dream. He stood in a silver field. Above him, the sky was purple, full of glowing rivers and rings. A figure stood across from him. Tall, thin, wrapped in light. Wings of crystal shimmered behind her. She didn't speak with a mouth, but he could hear her in his mind. Please, don't die. He woke up gasping, heart racing. The next morning, Ravi made a decision. If no one believed him, he'd find the source himself. He checked the signal logs again and traced the original point of origin. It came from a place called Telran Ridge, a deep space zone once mapped by old explorers, but left unvisited for years. There were stories about it, sure, ships vanishing, machines breaking, but nothing proven. Still, that's where the signal came from. He sent one final message to command, requesting transfer pod. I am investigating the source at Telran Ridge. If this is my last message, tell someone she spoke, and she was afraid. He packed a small bag, just the basics, water, food, notebook, and the signal drive. Hours later, the automated pod arrived, a quiet drone, silver and dull, just big enough for one person. Ravi climbed inside. The door closed with the softest dot as the pod detached from the station. Ravi looked back at Listening Post 9. It was small now, just a dot in space. He turned forward. facing the stars ahead. He didn't know what he would find, but he remembered the voice, and he whispered back, "I'm coming." The pod moved quietly through space, smooth and steady. Ravi sat still, eyes wide, heart full of questions. The stars outside looked peaceful, but his mind was restless. The words from the signal repeated in his thoughts again and again. "Please, don't die." What did it mean? Who sent it? And why did it feel so real? The journey to Telran Ridge took 2 days. During that time, Ravi studied all the old reports. Most called the area a dead zone. Some said ships had gone missing. Others believed the place was full of broken alien machines, forgotten long ago. No one stayed there for long. But Ravi was not afraid. When the pod arrived, the space around the ridge looked strange. Dark clouds moved between the stars. There were floating pieces of metal, shiny and broken, like parts of old machines. Some spun slowly. Others stayed still. They floated like ghosts, quiet and alone. Ravi activated the pod's scan. A shape appeared on the screen, large, hidden behind a group of drifting rocks. It looked like a ship or maybe a building, but not human. Its shape was smooth, curved, almost like a seashell. Blue lights blinked on its sides, soft and slow. Ravi whispered, "This must be it." He guided the pod closer. As he approached, a sudden sound filled the pod, hum, not loud, but deep, like the sound of wind underwater. Then his screen blinked with new letters. They spelled one word, "Welcome." Ravi's mouth went dry. He didn't touch anything. The message appeared by itself. A door opened on the side of the alien structure. A soft blue light poured out. The pod stopped out. Ravi took a breath, grabbed his notebook and recorder, and stepped outside. The air inside the alien structure was cool and dry. The walls were smooth, glowing slightly. The floor lit up under his feet as he walked. He followed a narrow path, turning slowly, careful with each step. Then he saw it. A large room opened before him. In the center stood a tall figure, wrapped in soft light. She was not human. Her skin shimmered like pearl. Her eyes were wide, silver, and calm. Long strands of glowing silk floated around her like hair in water, and behind her wings, made of shining crystal, folded gently. She did not speak, but she looked at Ravi. He stopped walking. He wanted to speak, but no words came. He only stared. The figure took one slow step forward, then another, and then, softly, like a breath in the wind, Ravi heard the words again, "You came." The voice was not in the air. It was in his mind, gentle, tired, but full of feeling. Ravi nodded slowly. I heard you," he said. She stepped closer. The light around her grew warmer. She looked at him with something like wonder. "I waited," she said. "So long. I thought no one would hear." Ravi's hand shook. He held up his notebook. "Who are you?" She looked at the pages, but didn't answer. "I'm Talari," she said at last, "the last of my kind." Ravi's eyes widened. "You're the last?" Talari's wings moved slightly, like leaves in the wind. "Long ago, we were many. Now, I am one." She turned and walked to a platform in the center of the room. It rose gently from the floor, showing pictures made of light, images of tall beings, flying cities, and gardens floating in space. "All is gone now," she said. Ravi stepped closer. He looked at the glowing pictures. They showed the rise and fall of a great people. He saw smiles, dances, music, and then silence, empty buildings, falling stars. "I'm sorry," he said softly. Talari looked at him. Her eyes were kind. "You heard my voice. That means something still lives." Ravi didn't know what to say. He had no weapons, no tools, no special skills. But he had listened. That was all he had done. And yet, it mattered. "You're human," Talari said, "from the blue world." "Yes," Ravi said, "from Earth." She stepped closer again. Her voice was quieter now. "We watched your kind, long ago. You're different." "How?" Ravi asked. "You remember," she whispered. "Even when you forget, you find each other again." Ravi thought about that. He remembered Bo, The quiet engineer back home who fixed broken machines with a smile. He remembered Mila, the pilot who told stories during long shifts, even in lonely places. Humans always reached out. Tahlri looked tired. She sat down on the edge of the platform, wings folded behind her. I sent the signal with the last of my strength, she said. Not to fight, not to ask for help, just to speak. Before I faded, Ravi sat beside her. He opened his notebook and showed her the page where he had written the message, "Please, don't die." She looked at it for a long time. I said, "Those words to the stars," she said, hoping someone would hear. And now, here you are. They sat in silence for a while. Then, Ravi said, "You're not alone anymore." Tahlri smiled, just a little. "And neither are you?" Back in the pod later that night, Ravi recorded a message to Earth. "I have made contact. Her name is Tahlri. She is not dangerous. She is lonely, and she remembers. I believe we must remember her too." As he looked back at the glowing door of the alien structure, he felt something change inside him for the first time in a long time. The stars didn't feel empty, they felt alive. Ravi returned to the alien structure again the next morning. The blue lights in the walls were still glowing softly. The silence felt different now, not cold or lonely, but calm, peaceful. Like the place had waited a long time just to be noticed. Tahlri stood near the center again, watching the pictures of her people images floating in the air like dreams that refused to fade. "You came back," she said without turning. "Yes," Ravi replied. "I couldn't sleep." "You heard too much," she said gently. "Now your heart is full." He nodded. That was true. Tahlri walked to a side wall and touched it with her hand. A soft chime echoed. The wall slid open, showing a long hallway, filled with dim blue light. "Will you come?" she asked. Ravi followed her without question. They walked slowly through the hall. Strange shapes lined the sides like tall glass trees, glowing from within. Some were cracked, some were empty, but a few still shimmered. Tahlri stopped beside one of the glowing shapes. Inside it, Ravi saw something small, a tiny being curled up, sleeping. Not human, not fully like her either. It had soft light flowing through its body, like liquid stars. "This is the cradle," she said softly, "where we placed our last children." Ravi looked around. There were many more cradles, but most were dim. "Are they alive?" he asked. Tahlri placed a hand on the glass. "No, not anymore. Only memories remain." She turned to face him. "My people lived through thought, feeling, and connection. We didn't need war. We grew through music, learning, and light. But something came. Not with weapons, not with sound. It took our stories, our past, our names." She paused, wings folding close. "It was not a thing we could see. It was a forgetting, a quiet emptying. And slowly, we lost each other." Ravi's face turned pale. "Something made you forget?" Tahlri nodded. "And I am all that remains now. I kept the stories in this place. I became the cradle myself, holding what was left." Ravi felt a deep sadness grow in his chest. "But you remembered. You held on." "I tried," she said. "But my strength fades. When I sent the signal, it was not to ask for saving. It was to pass on what we once were. Before all light is gone." They walked deeper into the hall. One chamber opened into a garden. It was strange floating stones, small orbs of water, and glowing vines hanging from the ceiling. Tahlri touched a leaf, and it lit up. "This is the last living room in this place," she said. "It listens, it remembers, and it speaks through feeling." Ravi sat on a smooth stone and looked around. It felt warm here, safe, like a place where sadness had turned into quiet hope. "You've kept so much alive," Ravi said. Tahlri sat beside him. "You listen better than most." He smiled a little. "I was trained to listen, but never to someone like you." She looked at him with soft eyes. "And yet, you heard me when no one else did." They stayed in the garden for a long time. Ravi asked questions. Tahlri answered as much as she could. He learned her people, the Villari, used to fly between stars, helping young species learn and grow, but they never interfered with choices. They only offered memory-shared light so that new beings would not repeat old mistakes, but the strange force that took the Velari memories spread silently. They never found a way to fight it, not with tools, not with sound, and now it was moving again. It is slow, but it reaches far, Talari said. Your world is not in danger today, but soon. It may be. Ravi looked down. We have records. History data. She touched her chest. It is not data it eats. It is meaning. That idea scared Ravi more than anything. A world without meaning was not a world at all. Later, Talari showed him one last room. A great sphere floated in the center. It glowed with soft silver light. Small sparks moved inside it like fireflies. This is the core of all Velari memory, she said. What little I saved is here, and now I wish to share it. Ravi stepped forward. Share it with me. She nodded. Your mind is strong, still open, still kind. You may carry our light if you choose. Ravi felt his chest grow tight. I'm not a hero. I'm not a leader. I'm just a listener. Exactly, she said. You listen. That is how stories survive. He took a deep breath and placed his hand on the sphere. It was warm. A sudden light filled the room. For a moment, Ravi saw everything. He flew above Velari cities made of glass and music. He stood in fields of stars. He saw Velari children learn their first song. He saw them weep when their stories began to vanish. He felt their hope, even as they faded, and through it all, one voice remained. Thlrs, please, don't die. The light dimmed. Ravi stepped back, blinking. He remembered all of it. Thlr looked tired now, but calm. You carry us now, she said. Ravi nodded. I won't forget, I promise, she smiled. Then you are no longer just a listener. You are a bearer of light. Ravi bowed his head. I will tell others, he said. I will speak your name. I will plant your memory on earth. Talari closed her eyes. Then part of us will live forever. As Ravi left the cradle behind, he looked one last time at the glowing garden, the sleeping cradles, and the queen who had waited so long just to be heard. He whispered, you are not alone anymore. And he walked into the stars, carrying her light with him. Ravi floated in the return pod, his eyes open but his thoughts far away. The stars outside looked the same as always, but something inside him had changed. The memory core from Talari was now part of him. Images, sounds, stories, and feelings that did not belong to Earth, but felt real all the same. He kept hearing her voice. It is not a thing you can see. It is forgetting. He remembered how she described it. Not a creature, not a machine. Something worse than silence that eats memory. A force that removes names, songs, meaning. The Velari called it the Fade. And now, it was moving toward Earth. When Ravi reached listening post 9 again, he sent a private message to Earth Command. This time, he didn't just say what he saw. He showed them. He included recordings from Talari, her face, her voice, the garden, the glowing cradles. He sent images of the Velari memory sphere and the fading stars above the Telran ridge. Then he waited. Hours passed. Then a reply came. Message received. Earth Command requests full report. Preparing envoy team. Ravi felt a wave of relief but also fear. Time was short. He sat at his desk and opened a new log. There is something coming. It doesn't fly or fight. It simply removes. It eats memory, culture, and hope. Talari called it the Fade. And she believed we are next. I don't know how to stop it, but maybe we don't need to stop it. Maybe we just need to remember. That night, Ravi heard a sound. Not outside. Inside. A soft whisper in the back of his mind. Not Talari. Something else. It said nothing clear, only a quiet hum, like a forgotten song. It was not warm. It was cold and empty. Ravi touched his head. The feeling grew stronger. He stood quickly and ran a scan on the station's systems. Nothing strange, but then his logs were missing. He opened folder after folder empty. The images of Talari, gone. The recordings of her voice, gone. Even his personal notes were turning into blank files. His heart raced. The fade had come. Ravi rushed to the backup core and found only static. The lights in the room flickered once. He whispered to himself, "No, no, no." Then he stopped. Something was still inside him. Not in a file, not in the system. In his memory. He closed his eyes and saw her face, Talari, her wings, her voice. It eats meaning, but not where the light still burns. He had to act quickly. Ravi grabbed a metal tablet and a simple writing tool. No power, no data, just pen and hand. He began to write. He wrote her name, Tahl-Ari. Then her words, "Please, don't die." Then her world, her garden, her people. Their fall. He wrote for hours, his hand aching. But he didn't stop. He drew pictures, the memory sphere, the cradles, the floating vines. He wrote the story again and again, as if the act of writing made the memory stronger. Harder to erase. He left copies of the tablet in different corners of the station. The next day, he woke to find the lights dimmer. The computer didn't know his name. The system called him unknown user. He opened the wall screen. Earth's message logs were empty. Even his food system offered him nothing, like it had forgotten what he liked. He didn't panic. He opened his notebook and read it. Aloud. He read the story of the Valari to the silent room. He said her name again and again. And slowly, something strange happened. The lights grew warmer. The screen blinked once and showed one word. Remembered. A few hours later, a small ship arrived at the station. It held two people, Mila, the comm pilot Ravi once worked with, and Bo, the quiet engineer who spoke only through drawing. They were sent by Earth Command to check the signal and bring Ravi home. But something was wrong. When Ravi greeted them, Mila only smiled politely. "Do we know you?" Bo looked confused. His eyes showed no recognition. Ravi's heart dropped. The fade was already spreading. Inside the station, Mila looked around. "This place feels strange. Like something is missing," Ravi showed. Then the handwritten tablet. "Do you remember this name?" he asked. "Talari?" Mila shook her head. Bo simply frowned. Ravi opened his notebook again and began to tell them the story. He spoke gently, step by step, about the signal, the journey, the garden, the queen. He showed the drawings. As he spoke, something changed in Mila's face. Her eyes softened. Her head tilted slightly, as if something inside her was waking up. Bo slowly picked up a piece of chalk and drew a wing, then a face, then a single word in big letters. The light in the station grew stronger. The memory was spreading. Not through machines. Through people. Later, they sat together near the big window, looking out at the stars. "I don't know how we'll stop this," Mila said quietly. "Maybe we can't," Ravi answered. "Maybe it's not a fight." Bo pointed at the notebook and tapped his heart. Ravi smiled. "Yes, it's about keeping the story alive." They looked out together. No weapons. No battles. Just three people remembering something no machine could hold. Somewhere far away, beyond the stars, a soft voice spoke in Ravi's mind. "You are not fading. You are shining." The station was quiet again, but this time it was a different kind of quiet. Ravi sat at the round table near the observation window, notebook open, a warm cup of tea in his hand. Mila rested nearby, flipping through one of the handwritten story tablets. Bo was on the floor with chalk in hand, slowly drawing wings, stars, and words on the smooth metal panels. Though the computers had forgotten, they still remembered. The fade had taken the systems, the records, and even some of their own thoughts, but every time it tried to erase something, Ravi spoke it again. Bo drew it. Mila listened, and each time the memory returned stronger than before. It was like an echo, not fading, but growing. Ravi looked at his friends. "Do you remember the first time I mentioned her name?" Mila nodded slowly. "It was like a dream I never had. But when you said it, it felt real." Bo held up a chalkboard. On it was written, "Talari is truth." Ravi smiled. "Then the fade hasn't won." Mila leaned back. "But we can't stay here forever. Earth Command is waiting. They want answers. And soon. They'll want proof. What proof? Ravi asked. All the recordings are gone. All the files were wiped. Bo tapped his chest. Only in us, Mila said. Ravi nodded. Then we'll give them something they can't erase. The three of them began to work. They call it the memory chamber, a small room deep in the station, once used for cargo. They emptied it, cleaned the walls, and turned it into a living story. On one wall, Bo drew a giant figure with shining wings, Talari, the queen of light. Round her, he added stars, vines, children, and glowing cradles. On another wall, Mila copied lines from Ravi's notebook by hand. She painted them slowly, word by word. She waited in silence. She sent a whisper. We heard her. Now we speak. They played soft music in the background, made from the tones Talari once used. No lyrics, just light. Calm notes that made the air feel warm and still. It wasn't just a room. It was a memory turned into a place. But the fade didn't stop. One morning, Ravi forgot his own name. He stared at his ID badge and blinked. The letters made no sense. His mind felt cloudy, like fog was covering his thoughts. He sat down, scared, and whispered, "Who am I?" Then Bo appeared beside him, holding a chalkboard. On it was written, Ravi, listener, keeper of the light. The moment Ravi read it, the fog lifted. His heartbeat slowed. He smiled. Yes, I remember now. Bo pointed to the memory chamber. Go. He signed. Inside the chamber, Ravi stood in front of the painting of Tahl-Rida. He placed his hand on the wall. A warm feeling passed through his arm, into his chest. He closed his eyes and spoke softly. You waited. Now we speak. You faded. Now we shine. The lights in the chamber grew brighter, even without power. Later, Mila brought news from the long-range signal scanner. Earth sent another message, she said. But it's strange. How? Ravi asked. They said our station ID doesn't exist anymore. They say no such mission was assigned here. They don't remember you, me, or Bo. Ravi stood still. That means it's already reached them. Mila nodded. It's happening. Ravi looked down. Then with a last echo, they spent the next 3 days writing everything again. Not on screens, not in data, on paper, on stone, on walls. Bo used metal plates to carve symbols from Talari's language. He didn't know the full meanings, but they felt true. Mila built a beacon using old signal parts. It didn't send data. It sent emotion, light patterns, music tones, and soft memory pulses. The signal had no words, only feeling. It pulsed across space like a heartbeat. They call it the echo signal. Then came the test. Mila forgot the memory chamber. She walked past it without even noticing. When Ravi asked her about it, she said, What room? Panic rose in his chest. He gently led her back to the chamber. He played the soft music. He placed her hand on the wall. He whispered. She waited. You heard her. You remember. Mila blinked. Then tears filled her eyes. I remember, she said softly. I remember everything. The chamber worked. It fought the fade. Not with fire, with echoes. On the 7th day, Bo made a new drawing, 3 figures standing under the stars. One had wings. One held a notebook. One carried light. Ravi placed it in the center of the chamber. Mila added the words below it. We are the echo. We do not fade. We carry the light. That night, they sat together in silence. No fear. Only peace. Ravi looked out at the stars. I used to think we were just small, he said. Just watchers. Mila shook her head. We're more than that now. Bo pointed to the memory chamber. Then to his heart, Ravi smiled. We remember, far away, across dark space. The echo signal reached a quiet ship. A young pilot, half asleep, opened her eyes and felt a strange warmth in her chest. She didn't know why, but a voice echoed in her mind, a voice she had never heard before. Please, don't die. The stars around listening post 9 were silent, but something had changed. The station no longer felt forgotten. Its walls held more than metal. Now they held stories. Inside the memory chamber, soft lights pulsed like a heartbeat. The paintings, carvings, and words glowed faintly even without power. They were more than art now. They were a shield, a flame in the dark. Ravi stood in the center, looking up at the painting of Talari, her crystal wings wide, her eyes kind and watchful. She believed in us, he said quietly. Now we believe in ourselves, outside the chamber. Bo adjusted the small beacon that sent out the echo signal, a wave of emotion, not data. The music, the memories, the feelings, they travel across space, reaching places no machine could. Mila checked the signal strength. It's spreading, she said. Not fast, but steady. Bo gave a thumbs up and drew a small sun on the corner of the control panel, a symbol of hope. But Ravi knew the fade would not stop, not unless they gave the universe a reason to remember. He turned to his friends. We need more than just memory, he said. We need a spark. That night, while the others rested, Ravi sat in the garden chamber, the last living part of the alien ship at Telran Ridge. He had returned secretly through the small pod. Something called him back. The glowing vines still floated in the air. The soft music of the place remained, like a whisper that refused to leave. And in the center stood the memory sphere, faint but still alive. Ravi placed his hand on it. Talari's voice came again, soft, gentle. You carry our story, but your own flame burns brighter. He closed his eyes. I don't know how to stop the fade, he whispered. I'm just a man who listened, and that is why you are strong, she replied. Suddenly, the sphere brightened. Images rushed into Ravi's mind, children reading stories under starlight, elders telling tales near campfires, voices singing. In dark times, drawings on cave walls, names whispered before sleep. Not Vlari. Human. Talari showed him what made humans different. Even in loss, they built again. Even when they forgot, they searched. Even when alone, they told stories to themselves so they wouldn't feel lost. The fade could erase files. It could break machines, but it could not erase fire. And humans carried fire in their hearts. Back at the station, Ravi returned and called a meeting. Mila and Bo joined him in the memory chamber. There's something we haven't tried, Ravi said. Not defense, not hiding, but burning brighter than the fade can swallow. Bo tilted his head. Mila asked, how? By spreading more stories, not just about the Villari, about us, our memories, our love, our songs, our names. And we send it everywhere, not to warn, but to remind. Bo slowly nodded. Ravi opened a fresh notebook and began to write. For 3 days, they worked without rest. Mila recorded her memories, the time she flew her first shuttle, the way her grandmother taught her to tie her boots, her favorite story from when she was 5. Bo drew his entire village, houses, trees, stars above the lake, the fire pit where his family told stories. Ravi wrote about his father's jokes, his mother's lullabies, the first time he looked through a telescope. They filled pages, they covered walls, they spoke and sang and drew. And each time they did, the light in the memory chamber grew stronger. Then they changed the beacon. Bo reprogrammed it by hand, no computer code, just wires, lights, and sound. Instead of sending only Talari's story, the echo signal now. The station was quiet again, but it was a new kind of quiet. It was the quiet after hard work, after fear, after hope had taken root. Inside the memory chamber, the walls were now full. Words, drawings, and symbols covered every surface. Some told stories of the Villari. Others showed memories from Earth, simple, beautiful things. A small drawing of Ravi's first telescope, a poem about Mila's childhood stars, a symbol from Bo's village, meaning home. All of it was real. All of it was alive. The echo signal, stronger now, pulsed out across the stars. It no longer warned. It no longer whispered. It sang. Mila sat near the signal core, checking the controls. She looked tired but calm. Signal is steady, she said. Bo's new system is holding. No data, just feeling, just memory. Bo nodded and pointed at the ceiling, where he had drawn a new image, a tree with light instead of leaves. Ravi looked at it and smiled. What does it mean? Bo wrote one word below it, grow. Something had changed in all 3 of them. They had started as workers, travelers, and watchers. Now they were keepers of something older, something deeper. Not technology, not knowledge, but meaning, memory, life. And now, it was time to share it. Earth Command finally replied, but the message was strange. This is Earth Command. We have no record of your station. No logs, no reports. No name match found for crew members. Please identify. Ravi stared at the screen. They don't remember us. Mila sighed. The fade reached Earth. Ravi nodded. But it's not too late. He stood, holding one of the story tablets. If they forgot, we'll remind them. The three of them began building something new. Not a machine, not a weapon, but a garden of memory. They took apart old metal panels and reshaped them into curved walls. Bo carved symbols into the doors. Mila lined the ceiling with small lights like stars. Ravi placed their story tablets in the center, arranged like a circle of stones. At the heart, they placed a copy of the Velari memory sphere, handcrafted from glass and old wires. It didn't hold true data, but it held intent. It told a story. Even without words, they named it the Cradle of Light. One by one, new messages began arriving. A mining ship on the far side of the moon reported feeling something warm in deep space. A child on a colony station drew pictures of a winged woman, though she had never heard of Talari. A young pilot dreamed of vines, music, and a whisper, "Please, don't die." The echo signal was working. Back in the garden, Ravi sat down and closed his eyes. He reached inside his memory and whispered to himself. She waited. She hoped. She faded. But she was not forgotten. He felt a gentle warmth in his chest. And then, just for a moment, he heard her voice again. Tahl-Ri. Soft, clear. You lived, so we live. Later that evening, the stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter. Mila came and sat beside Ravi. Bo wants to plant real vines in the chamber, she said. He says life should grow here. Ravi smiled. He's right. Mila looked up. What do you think happens now? I think we keep telling the story, Ravi said. We speak it. We write it. We live it. Bo walked in quietly and placed something in front of them. It was a stone tablet. On it, he had written, "We are not data. We are not silence. We are fire, and fire remembers." Ravi read it aloud, then nodded. Double quotes, yes, that's what we are. The next morning, a message arrived, not from Earth. Not from any known ship. It was simple. No name, no sender, just one line. I heard your story. And then another. I remember her too. Somewhere, out there, others were listening. Somewhere, someone else had carried the flame. The story was no longer theirs alone. The Garden of Memory was not an end. It was a beginning. Ravi, Mila, and Bo stood together one last time inside the memory chamber. Mila turned to Ravi. What now? He thought for a long moment, then smiled. Now, he said, we don't die. He placed his hand on the tablet. We live, as the echo signal continued to pulse across space. And the story of the Velari reached new ears. One message echoed, louder than all others, a message made not of fear, but of love, a whisper that crossed stars. Please, don't die. And the answer came, not as a whisper, but as a flame. We remember.